Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Hafeezat. I'm a current events and lifestyle blogger, vlogger, YouTuber, you know the rest. I don't want to spend too much time doing this because I think I have like everything kind of written down and whatnot of what I want to say. But before I get into this video, I just want to ask you all to just watch it in its entirety, and just use critical thinking skills when watching this video, okay? Anyways, so as you can tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about what's been recently happening, within the Asian community, specifically the East Asian community. I have my iPad here for notes, so if you see me looking down, that's just why, because I want to make sure that everything that I say comes off as correct as possible. It would be a disservice to the work that I want to do and the work that I try to pursue if I didn't talk about this issue. As we all know, COVID-19 has had a significant impact on the rampant xenophobia and racism that Asians, specifically East Asians, because people like to conflate Chinese people with Japanese people and Korean people, even though they don't look alike and they don't speak the same languages, etc. But anyways, COVID-19 has sparked a lot of racism and xenophobia towards Asians, specifically East Asians, like I said, and President Donald Trump, former disgraced President Donald Trump, he basically kind of sparked this fire of xenophobia, calling it, the Kung Flu virus and the Chinese virus, and, blaming China. Donald Trump has had a fight with China for the past 4 years. He has just not been their fan, and for reasons unknown, but he has continuously derailed and continuously been just very, very discriminatory towards that country. So it's no surprise that his followers, and people who are ignorant have taken suit, because it's not just his followers that have been perpetuating this violence towards East Asians and Asians in general. It is also people who are just very, very ignorant about what COVID-19 is and what COVID has done, that they have continuously attacked and berated Asian communities. So most recently, there has been a widespread, countrywide spread of violence, physical violence towards East Asians, specifically towards their elders, because a lot of people, based on what I've heard from the East Asian community, view Asian elders as, meek and, weak, etc., or that they won't put up a fight or whatever the case may be. So they're considered an easy target by these perpetrators of violence. And that doesn't fly with me at all, because what makes you think that it's your right to hurt someone simply because you have preconceived notions about who they are, and you go out of your way to not only hurt somebody, but hurt somebody that can't necessarily fight back? Because these have been older Asian people from 60 upwards, they're your grandmothers or great aunts, whatever the case may be, great uncles. And I have for example, there have been people being slashed across their face in New York. There have been people being pushed, whether they're on the street, in the train station, etc. People just being pushed. And this has been directed towards, again, Chinese people, Korean people, Japanese people, Filipino people, etc. So many different people, just because they fit a stereotypical descriptor of what an Asian is to these people's eyes. Even back in March, and I'm reading it now, I remember that Asian members of the Temple University community were talking about how they had been facing harassment towards the beginning of the pandemic, back in March and April, within the neighborhood. So they detailed their stories of harassment in the Facebook groups that I'm a part of, and it just made me really, really sad, because why? I would think that, people wouldn't take things with such face value on the internet and then just kind of say, oh, this is real, let me go and do something about it. Not only that, but again, what equips you with such bravery and stupidity to go and attack people you don't know? You're causing people who have nothing to do with the virus and nothing to do with what's happening with COVID in general, or just anything in general. You're causing them to feel fear, and you're not letting them live their lives comfortably because they fit a descriptor of a stereotype. there needs to be more visibility casted on these issues, and I've seen it most recently. A lot of people have been posting these past couple of weeks, from celebrities to just regular people, posting about resources that you can use to help the AAPI community, and ways you can support. There are so many resources there right now that you can help these communities with, from all across the country, and I have a lot of them linked down below in the description box if you want to click through them, donate your time or donate your money, whatever the case may be, or simply just share it around with people who might be interested in helping out. But we need to do our best to raise awareness about these issues. When I was reading into this, when I was doing my video, what people are saying is that we're witnessing xenophobia or fear against Chinese people. And the pain that is being currently inflicted upon them is rooted in xenophobia, because again, people are using baseless stereotypes of what they believe Chinese people look like. And most of the time it's just rooted in monolids or fairer skin, etc., the black hair. That's how they view them, and if they see somebody that fits in that descriptor, that's what they're attacking them on. This xenophobia, like I said before, was perpetuated by Donald Trump with his racist rhetoric around China, and the reason why I say it's rooted in xenophobia rather than necessarily overall arching Asia is because Asia is not a monolith. Asia is very diverse in its ethnicities and its features, that these attacks have to be rooted in xenophobia, because, for example, Indians don't fit the descriptors that they use for East Asians or Sri Lankans or Indonesians. That's why I think the language here is very important in the sense. If it was more overarching of Asians, then there would be a lot of more attacks that are a bit more diverse, if that makes sense. I don't want to use that word, but that's the only word that I can think of. So like I said, this is a topic that needs to be spoken about. However, there is always a way to do these things without bringing down other races or whatever the case may be. So I'm talking from my experience as a black person. There is a lot of anti-blackness in the Asian community. I don't think that can be disputed. There's a lot of anti-blackness in all communities. What I've seen recently with these calls to action is that Black Lives Matter has been thrown in repeatedly. I remember reading one instance, a woman said because she was helping with the Black Lives Matter protests, she felt as if she couldn't talk about her own issues because they weren't as important. But that's not the fault of Black people or Black Lives Matter. You have every right to get on a box and start speaking about what's going on. Black Lives Matter is an embodiment of the 400 plus years of work Black people have done in this country in order to speak out and speak up about the issues that pervade their communities. So bringing Black Lives Matter into the mix is not the comparison that needs to be made at the moment in order to get your point across. Because you can call for people to go with action, because I know there has been a lack of action when it comes to these things, but not bring Black people or Black Lives Matter into the mix, because it's not our fault. So I wrote it down just because I wanted to say this as well as possible. It reminds me when Black Panther came out, and everyone went in droves to watch it. But Black people were definitely in the majority of the moviegoers. A lot of people got their kente cloth and their dashikis and their traditional wear to go out and whatever. So when I saw that Crazy Rich Asians was coming out, a lot of what I saw also on social media was y'all better come out like you did for Black Panther. And it's why pit the two against each other? Mobilize your community just like we did. So Black people mobilized themselves to go watch Black Panther in droves. Why not do the same with, the Asian community? Go watch the Crazy Rich Asians, because it was made with you in mind. And you all did, actually. Crazy Rich Asians was a box office hit, and it got a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I love the wedding scene so much, I still cry to this day. It was great. It was nominated for multiple awards, and it was even nominated for an outstanding motion picture for the NAACP Image Awards. So while there were criticisms about the casting and the casting of half white, half Asian people. It is the first major Hollywood movie since the 1993 Joy Luck Club movie to have a majority Asian cast in a modern setting. So Crazy Rich Asians was very, very important at that time, similar to how Black Panther was very, very important for Black people at that time. And that's what this kind of conversation right now about, like, you know, anti-Asian racism versus like anti-Blackness and Black Lives Matter reminds me of. We don't need to pit the two together. It's not Black Lives Matter's fault or Black Panther's fault that people are going to it and it's doing so well, because that ends up putting the onus on Black people for detracting away from other issues, when that's not the case. We just care about our issues. And I don't think there's anything wrong with caring about your issues alone, but many Black people don't only care about their issues. Many Black people also mobilize in the name of other people as well, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit. Our hypervisibility the Black people have does not do anything for us. You know, we're still being killed every single day by officers. I keep seeing hashtags on my timeline every single day. Like, it has not stopped. Diversity has not been pushed in the forefront in the way companies might want us to think ever since the Black Lives Matter protests happened over the summer. And, you know, people just posted their black squares and they went. There's still anti-Blackness within the system. You know, it's still embedded in our society. We have not eradicated it at all. So I got a quote from somebody on Twitter. So Zoe Samunzi says, "We ought to be in solidarity with Asian American communities because that's what a robust anti-racist politic calls us on to do. Pitching relative Asian invisibility against the hypervisibility of Black people, where hypervisibility is cast as a privilege, isn't necessary." So what she is basically saying is, again, we have to call on what's currently happening within the Asian community, because that's what people who want to be anti-racist should do, because racism is just not a black and white issue, obviously. Like, we all know that. However, calling into Black Lives Matter and Black people whose hypervisibility has not really served them well, despite the fact that they have been mobilizing for the past 400 plus years, is not what is going to drive anything better. Like, this one person said, you know, "I want to see how passionately people, including other people of color, will stand up for Asians. Those of you who are so vocal with Black Lives Matter, where are you on the 1900% increase in Asian-directed hate crimes? The violence that has taken many lives, yet we rarely see these stories covered in the media. If anything, you shouldn't be mad at the people supporting Black people and Black Lives Matter. You should be mad at the media. The media is the issue with this situation because the media is racist. The media is very biased in what it shows. They want to get the clicks and they want to get the money and the ad revenue. So if they're going to post things, they're going to make sure to post things that are immediately going to spark outrage. And sadly, the anti-Asian racism that is currently happening is not sparking outrage because the media likes to pick and choose what they think is important. So it's not the fault of Black people and Black Lives Matter that there isn't such an increase in visibility about these issues. However, I've seen it ramped up more and more and more each day. I can't go a day without seeing it now. So it's definitely increasing because there are Asians mobilizing to get this information out there. You know, and even then with the media and Black Lives Matter, it was not gung-ho, all happy. You know, Black people were being brutalized by the police. That is the only thing the media showed. The media barely showed the peaceful protests. I had to see the peaceful protests for myself on social media, on Twitter. I did not see it on CNN or NBC or whatever, because Black people being brutalized is what gets the clicks. Black people being brutalized is what gets the media views on CNN and NBC and ABC and everywhere else. They don't care about us being peaceful. They don't care about us being safe. They don't care about us being protected. And I don't think that should be something that should be strived for per se. So hypervisibility is not all that it's cracked up to be. If you want to speak on behalf of the Asian community for the pain and the suffering that they're currently facing, you do not need to ask for permission from Black people or anybody to do that. You don't have to feel silenced by Black people or Black Lives Matter in order to do that, because this is a serious issue and you have every right to talk about it. Not that I have to give permission. Nobody has to give you permission. You don't need to ask for permission, because this is a serious situation. So don't feel stifled, don't feel silenced by Black people mobilizing about our issues, because that's not our goal. Our goal is to speak about our issues, same way as your goal is to speak about your issues. What this big issue is that we're all fighting against, that we all need to be in solidarity against, is anti-Asian racism, anti-Blackness, white supremacy, and the racism within the media. Those are all our enemies. We are not each other's enemies. We are not each other's enemies. We need to be in solidarity with one another in order to tackle those 4 things that I just chatted about. This is a time that we must come together, to fight those larger battles. So to my Asian friends and to the Asian community, please let us know how we can help you. I have a lot of links in my description box that I'm going to be sharing, but if there are any more links, GoFundMe pages, anything of that sort, please leave it in the comments. I give you full range to do so, because again, this is not a time for division. This is a time where we need to all be called into action in order to fight against these things. To non-Asian people, solidarity is solidarity regardless of the skin color that is being, harmed. So we need to step up. We need to step up. If we want to see larger systems dismantled, it's going to take all of us in solidarity and togetherness in order to bring them down. This division is not going to bring it down. It's just going to cause more of it to happen at a larger rate. So again, to the Asian community and to the AAPI overall community, please let us know what we can do. To my non-Black friends, please make sure that you stand in solidarity with these people during these trying times. It's a very, very dangerous situation. If you're able to gather around and protect these people, do it. Do whatever you can within your means to help speak out about these issues. To close out, there are links in my description box detailing what's happening currently, things I've said in this video that are my sentiments but were expressed a bit better or differently by other people from Twitter or from Instagram, and just overall ways you can help. There are also links from both Black people and Asian people talking about, why bringing Black Lives Matter into the mix is a form of anti-Blackness. So I highly recommend you read those things as well. And they also share ways that you can support and speak out about what's happening with the Asian community without being anti-Black. And finally, I hope you watched this video in its entirety, because I'm 99% sure I did not say anything off the cuff or anything like that. Please watch the video in its entirety. I'm telling you, it is worth it, all right? We will continue the good fight. I will make sure to do my part in speaking about anti-racism tactics and just being anti-racist in my entirety. And I hope you all do the same. I'm also going to link down below some stories of initiatives that have been currently happening. Some happening, in the Bay Area, where there's a large, Asian community over there, and etc. that I think really show what I'm talking about when it comes to solidarity fronts and solidarity tactics. I hope everybody stays safe. I hope everybody's doing well, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye-bye.